There I am. Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to another Midlife Mojo Monday. My goodness, the weeks just are flying by. It's unbelievable. But here I am just about every single Monday at the 2 p.m. Eastern Time-ish hour. And I come on here every Monday just to bring you some kind of education, a demonstration, sometimes a guest, sometimes just my own little thoughts on a topic, anything that I can think of that I think would benefit not only your week, but also benefit your health, your wellness, your relationships, anything as we age and as we enter these midlife years and we transition from our midlife years and beyond so that we thrive and we thrive naturally. And this week's topic in the Midlife Mojo group is all about gratitude. So last week we talked about kindness, and this week we're talking about gratitude, a little bit different angle on the same kind of topic. I think November is a time where these topics are really good to talk about, right? Here in, America, we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, so the topic of gratitude is usually a big one around this time of year. And we have so many things to be thankful for, and I know for a lot of people, it's been a tough year. And just to have some reflection as the year goes, starts to wind down, and to start to kind of take some stock in our life, and and really think about things that we're grateful for. So, for many midlife women, they don't like getting older, right? I mean, I'm not going to say I love getting older, right? But there are definitely some things that I do love about getting older. But some women absolutely they fight it. They do not like it at all. All they see is the downside of getting older. And so today we're going to talk about the positive things about aging that there are to be grateful for, and how we are actually biologically wired to be more grateful as we age. So if we're just opened up to learning how and practicing it, we can really expand our ability to express gratitude. So before I even get into this, if you're watching this now live or on the replay, who's noticed, like one just positive thing that's happened since as you've gotten older, as you've hit the 40 plus, 50 plus, maybe 60, 70 plus, even maybe 80. I think I got some 80-year-olds watching as well. What has been some one thing as you've aged that's just been a positive thing for you? Right? Just want you to think about that. We're going to share some more as we go on, but share it in the comments would be great, or just think about it for yourself. And think about your Thanksgiving table. Maybe especially when you've got like the kids and grandkids and a whole bunch of people around the table. In our house, my dad used to always be like, "Okay, we're going to go around, and everybody's going to say what they're thankful for." Right? So you get the little kids and like they're thankful for their stuffed animal or their dog, and you've got maybe older kids, like their like preteens, they're thankful for their video games. You're lucky if you get a grunt or or an eye roll out of the teenagers when you ask the question as they mumble something, right? Maybe your spouse is, they're grateful for their children and being with everybody. But then you get to the grandparents, right? And usually it's a little bit more deep than that. Maybe it's a little bit more taking time to smell the roses than that. So a lot of times it's things like just waking up and hearing, the birds outside my window and watching them in the feeder, right? Maybe it's just being able to pour myself a cup of coffee and read my newspaper and listen to my music. Right. So as we get older, our levels and our of degrees of being able to express gratitude actually grow in a scientific way. And we're going to talk about that. Neuroscientists have suggested that older people kind of have this sunnier outlook on life because the limbic system, which particularly the amygdala, but the limbic system is our emotional system. And the amygdala is the area of the brain that's specifically involved in emotional attention and memory, and it becomes less active in response to negative information. So, at the same time, older individuals maintain or even increase their reaction to positive information. So, basically, as we age, the brain starts to ignore the negative input that we get, and it starts to expand its reception of all of the positive things around us. That's the science behind it. I love that, right? To know that I'm entering an era where I'm going to be able to receive, biologically receive more, as I'm able to express more. We're going to talk about that. And one way to expand that ability is using your essential oils, right? And the essential oils directly affect the limbic system. All right. Amazing. So gratitude affects our limbic system. Essential oils affect our limbic system. And you know what? Young Living has an essential oil called gratitude. I think I got it right there. Yeah, right up there is my gratitude, right? And so every day I just use that in some way, whether it's with an affirmation or it's just on my way out the door, but just something where I like to put it in my hands, put a drop in, take a little thing, take a couple of nice inhales, and just think of something that I'm grateful for. It's a great way to turn around a bad mood or turn around some kind of like negative spiral that you're saying is to get into gratitude. And the essential oils, them having such a quick effect on your limbic system within a couple, really within, less than about 30 seconds, those oils are starting to affect your emotional areas of your brain. And then you add to it these positive feelings and these thoughts of gratitude, and wow, it's an amazing way just to change your whole day around and change somebody else's day probably because of it. So what has been your experience for those of you who has anybody tried the gratitude oil? What have you had any experience, or has it been good? Anything you want to share with that, Lisa? It's like yeah, you appreciate friends and family more and more so each day. I spend a lot of time with my parents, especially during COVID right now. My mom doesn't really leave the house much, so I do all of our grocery shopping, and I'm over there a couple hours, a week, and just spending time with her, and just we've been going through a lot of old pictures and just hearing the things that she's grateful for. And my dad, about a year and a half ago, I always say he died in my husband's arms, basically, and was brought back to life and everything that comes out of that man's mouth is just gratitude for life. I mean, oh, did you see the birds? Did you see the rainbow? Did you smell the this? And we make fun of him a little bit for it, but honestly, I love it. It's something that I strive for, to really take notice of all of that during the day. And a part of that is not just as we getting older, but when you do have some, even as people who are younger with a life-threatening illness or something, people realize that time is short, right? And so that gratitude for life comes in. And research is, it's kind of is actually there's research behind it, right? This increasing positivity with age starts to happen kind of after your 20s, right? Young adults in their 20s, they're still starting to see their future as limitless. Right, there's no end. But as we get older, we know, unfortunately, that there are more time constraints, time, that we have. But the truth is, we never know when our time is up. So although maybe we're wired as we get older, and we're going to talk about ways that we can exercise. I keep calling it exercise the gratitude muscle, because we never know when our time is truly up, right? It could be tomorrow. So the more that we can not think of it, that we have a time constraint to be gratitude, and just every day is something to be grateful for. But the shortened sense of time does make us kind of focus on these goals, which tend to usually be more about emotion than more about feeling than doing as we get older, right? Would you agree with that, Lisa? Right? Aurora, we're not promised tomorrow. I have too many friends, unfortunately, who have passed that, I wish I didn't know that, but it's the way it is, right? So when people realize that life is fragile and not promised with all the time in the world, you start to see what's good in life. All right. People even see it. This was an interesting top thing that I saw when I was doing my research, and I didn't think about it. But and it happens too, I've moved many, many times. And even when you do a big move, like a big geographical move, all of a sudden your friends and those places that you've always gone start to mean more. Like all of a sudden those friends who you may have for years just taken for granted are going to be there, and you pick up the phone and you say you're going to get together. All of a sudden you're only around for another month or two, and you make this effort to get together. You find the time. Right. And that should be time we should do all the time. If we can find the time then we can find the time all the time. But that's another time when that happens as well. You guys ever experienced that phenomenon? You know, I know I've done when I see friends moving away, I'm like, oh my God, we've got to get together. We've got to go do what we've always done. We got to go to our favorite place or whatever and do that. Well, why aren't we doing it all along? But we feel that in those moments when something's going to be taken away from us, almost that sense of deeper gratitude. So, um, And then, of course, there's another reason why it's easier for older people to count their blessings, right? It's because we've had enough life experiences to recognize those blessings. Encountering sad and difficult experiences over a lifetime definitely makes you more sensitive to the good ones. And you know that, it's just not a given that life is going to hand you a bunch of happiness and success, right? But, the truth is, let's face it, some people, regardless of age, are more grateful than others, right? We know those ones that still, need to kind of learn how to exercise that muscle a little bit. Some people just choose to see life through that grateful lens, and some people kind of see it through that entitlement lens. And all we can do is just continue to shine our gratitude on them and hope that it rubs off on them in some way. But some people say that grateful people actually recognize the same fundamental concept. And it's that the human condition is such that throughout life, not just at the beginning or the end, but that we are profoundly dependent on other people as we go through life. And grateful people are aware of this dependency and they're not freaked out by it, right? So, Lois, grateful for family, friends, good health. Absolutely. Right. I mean, what do we do? It's my favorite time of it's literally, first of all, it's the most popular post of the week in this group is my Thankful Thursday. I literally look forward to reading everybody's every single week. It amazes me every single Thankful Thursday in the group when I do that post, how many people pop in and will write something and I never see them any other time except for that day, right? I attract some really great people to this group. So it's just a way of in the middle of your week stopping and taking that moment to be thankful. And you can do that every single day. So, some reasons to feel grateful as we get older, and there are a plethora of them. Number one, you don't have to feel guilty about like moving on from things we don't like, right? Ain't got time for that baloney, right? You don't like something, you move on. You're reading a book, you don't like it, move on. You're watching a TV series. It used to be like this, like, well, I started it, I have to finish it. Why? Like, move on to something that you enjoy, right? Maybe it's a hobby that you started and you thought, oh, I'm going to love, I don't know, I'm going to love crocheting and I'm going to make all this stuff for my grandkids and I'm going to do all this. And then you do it and you're like, oh God, I don't even like, this is boring. No, but you bought all the stuff. You've told everybody you're going to do all this. Oh, well, right. As we get older, oh, well, move it on. Somebody else will do it for you. Decrease drama as we get older, right? We all know that, people who are younger, they just seem to like love the drama. But as we get older, we just don't like it as much and we don't attract it as much and we aren't a part of it as much, right? We tend to know like which drama is worthwhile getting involved in and which is just, leave it to something else, just ignore it. Culture and fashion have less of a sway over what we do. So there's nothing wrong with being fashionable. And actually, this coming Wednesday on on the Women with Mojo, I've got a personal stylist coming on, and she's going to talk all about amping up our wow factor with fashion, and I can't wait. But for a lot of people, as they get older, they do tend to lean towards more comfortable more comfortable clothes, which doesn't mean you can't be fashionable, but just more they're more focused on their comfort and their health than more maybe cultural type of things and fashion things. They know what they like, and they just don't really need to worry about what everybody else thinks and so forth. Also, as we get older, we are grateful for happier lives, right? We've learned how to cope with those difficulties in life, or because we've maybe learned to become more comfortable with ourselves or living how we want. We just live happier as we get older. I have a lot of friends. I just turned 50, but I have a lot of really good friends, Lois being one of them, who are in their 70s. And they've just truly taught me so much just by example and by their words too, but by example about what it really means to let go of things, not, be focused on the good things, to never stop growing, never stop living. They both, Lois is one of those people, my friend Aggie too, just know how to express their gratitude for life and they show it all the time in the life and the example that they lead. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of it is that people as we get older, we have more time for those things that we love to do. And so when we're doing things that we enjoy and we love, a lot of times we're happier. And retirement and empty nesting gives us that time. So for a lot of empty nesters like me, I literally keep thinking, like, I just thought the other day, I'm like, oh my God, like my youngest is going to be gone in like less than a year. Like we are, I shouldn't say that. I got a little more than a year I've got left with her. We got the rest of this year and then we got senior year. So what, 18 months? But like I'm already starting to do the countdown, right? I'm dreading the empty nest a little bit. But yet I look at what happens once you kind of get past the initial sadness of it all, and how much of your life can open up and it can be a blessing, and how much you can embrace those kids in a different way. But it also opens up time for you and the time that maybe you haven't taken in the past. Here in Florida, I always say, like, I just want to grow up and be a retired person. The retired people here in Florida, they don't, they age well, right? They live, maybe it's the weather, I don't know, but maybe it's the ones I know, but just all of that, I think, is so important, is to taking the time as you get older to do the things you love. Maybe it's writing a book, maybe it's traveling, whatever it is. And then the other reason that we can be grateful as we get older, for a lot of you, I know you have grandchildren and grandparents. My mother-in-law always tells me, you just won't get it until you're a grandparent yourself, honey. You just won't understand, right? That it's one of the greatest joys in the life with with grandchildren, and you get to do all of the good stuff and not have to deal so much with the tantrums and the dirty diapers and all that stuff. And this Dr. Carl Pillimore actually said the grandparent-grandchild relationship is the second in emotional importance only to the parent-child relationship. So how we model gratitude to our grandkids is really important. So do you guys agree with those reasons? Do you feel like those are some really great reasons that we can be grateful as we get older and not look at maybe our wrinkles so much, not look at our flab, going around so much, not looking at those kind of things, maybe not looking at, the what we have in life or don't have in life and comparing ourselves, but just looking at all of the things that we can be as we age, we really can be grateful for. So I got a few little ways here to wrap this up of ways that we can be grateful. If you've got any other suggestions, I know I have a lot of people who practice gratitude. So if you want to share any of your gratitude practices, that would be wonderful. But number one is getting a gratitude practice, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's taking a walk. I call them gratitude walks, where you just take a walk and you just notice everything. Oh, look at, the water, the sun sparkling off the water, and being grateful for the sun, warming your body, whatever it may be. Grateful for the green grass, that's underneath your feet, that's making, the walk softer, whatever it is, but truly getting into gratefulness and coming up with some kind of routine, whether it's, you can maybe, for a lot of people, it's documenting your gratitude. I think that's really, it's something powerful in pen to paper and writing. There's lots of science behind that. And so documenting your gratitude, having a journal, is the best evidence-based tactic to cultivate it. Number one, what you write, you can look back and you can see, and oftentimes when you're grateful for something, you get more of it. It expands and you get to see that. All right. Think about the things you're grateful for, write them down, share them. Maybe you even post them on social media, right? That's kind of why that Thankful Thursday is there, right? That kind of thing as well. When you see other people expressing gratitude, it makes you feel more gratitude, don't you? Like when you see somebody else doing that, it kind of, and there's science behind that. When you actually witness an act of gratitude, it does something to your brain. It actually, sets off things going on in your brain when you even witness it. So definitely. Yes, grandchildren. Yes. All right. I'm not in any rush. I'm not in any rush, but one day I hope to. Yes. Gratitude, though, does require a lot of mental discipline, but it is possible to strengthen this connection. All right. So, doing that journaling, doing that some kind of gratitude walks, gratitude routine, choosing your words carefully. Grateful people tend to speak differently, right? You notice them. They're the ones that use the words blessed or lucky or fortunate a lot, right? A lot of people don't use those words, but grateful people do. And there's actually a concept called let me get this word right, Whorfian, Whorfian, the Whorfian hypothesis. And it suggests that what you say influences how you think and what you do. So, using a vocabulary of gratefulness may, in time, make you feel more gratitude. So, if you're somebody who wants to practice that, be very mindful of your words and practice your words, right? Start adding those types of words in: blessed, lucky, fortunate, right? All those kind of synonyms. And then, as we said earlier, right, we're talking about the grandkids, model it. Little ones are always watching, right? And when grandma looks and says, "Oh my God, look at this flower," as we take the walk, and and is grateful for the soil that it's grown in, and the smells that it gives, and the bees that have pollinated it, and demonstrates all of that gratitude for their 3-year-old on the walk. You don't think that's going to have some impact? Of course it is. But you know what? Just the little kids aren't just the ones watching, and not even just the big kids. The adults are watching you too. And your actions can have huge influence among everybody around you without even saying a word. So just remember that. All right. So that's all I really have to say about the topic of gratitude. I really just want you guys just to really be thinking about it a lot this week. As you know, a lot of the posts are going to focus on it. I think tomorrow there's a gratitude meditation that we've included for you to do. But just throughout the week, even you don't have to wait to Thursday. If something, the moment hits you, post it in the group, right? With the hashtag I am grateful, right? So we can all feel that as well. And as I said, this Wednesday night, I think we're doing it at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, Eastern Time, live. Join me as I've got Joy Ruffin, personal stylist, as she's going to talk about amping up our wow factor as we get older. Joy and I really, her business is all about working with women who are in their midlife years. She calls it their second act, and making them shine in their second act. And we have a lot of similar philosophies. And so I'm excited to bring her and her energy to you all to learn some tips, hopefully, about getting older and style, and just feeling and looking our best. As so we because we don't need to be no old frumpy maids, right, we are positive, healthy, happy, thriving women, truly, from our midlife years and beyond. So much gratitude to every one of you in this group. I appreciate you being here, being on with me live, watching the replays, interacting with me. It just that's what brings me my true gratefulness and gratitude and joy at all times. So have a great week. And oh, I never took off that, but that's okay. I will send you off with my goodbye little video here. Here we go.